Okay, now that we've got the sky where we want, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp the layers so that we merge all the stuff that we've done up to this point. So once again, Control Shift Alt E, and that's going to stamp those layers. So I'm just going to call it stamp layers. Righto. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to make this sky pop a bit more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go across here to channels, and then I'm going to select the RGB. So I'm going to hold Control and then click on the RGB. Now when we look across here, you can see areas have been selected in those channels. What I'm going to do from here is I'm now going to go up to levels. Now with that, if we have a look at the mask here, you can see the areas that have been selected. You've got areas of dark, areas of light, and areas of grey. So those are the areas that are going to be affected by these adjustments I'm going to make. Now you can see there's quite a bit of information up in the starting from the mid-tones up into the highlights, and not much shadow information. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some adjustments to this. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drag that shadow. You can see that the midpoint slider also moves as I'm dragging that shadow end. I'm going to drag that up to where the information appears on the histogram there. Now we can see that effect that we've achieved already with that sky. Look at that, see how that sky pops a lot more as a result of that. So I've brought up the lower end of the levels to where the information has started on the histogram. Now from there, I'm going to adjust that mid-tone point, and I'm just going to bump it across to maybe about that 0.9-ish. Let's have a look at that. Okay, and then let's just have a look at the difference that we've achieved there. So not much in the way of detail, color separation, or that color coming out in the cloud. And then by selecting within the RGB channel and then doing a levels adjustment, bringing that shadow slider up and then adjusting those mid-tones slightly, we can see the massive difference we've made there within that sky. Now it has darkened the foreground, and I don't really want to affect as much as I have there. So once again, I'm going to use my brush and making sure it's on black. I'm going to go 50% opacity here because I do like a little bit of the adjustment that we've got here. I'm going to brush that out. Touch. Alright, let's have a look at that. Turn it on and off. We can see now that we're getting that sky to really pop at the moment. Okay, now that we've done that, I want the water actually to be a little bit cooler. So I'm going to go across to the filter, and I'm going to pop on a bit of a cooling filter just to cool that water up a bit, because I want that to maintain that coolness whilst the sky has that focus on the cloud. So I've added a little bit of cool there. Once again, I don't want to affect the sky, so I'm going to paint that out because I'm happy with the sky sitting there. Because at that time of the day, most of the any colour was hitting that cloud, and the foreground was pretty cool as I shot it. I tried to adjust the brush size there when I still had the opacity box checked, if you're wondering what that noise was. Okay, so I'm just going to brush out the cool filter on the jetty, because I want that wood to maintain its colour. And on the railing, and I'm going to pause whilst I brush that out. Okay, so now I've removed the cooling. I decided I actually liked it on the rail, and I just wanted to keep the colour within the wood, so I've left it like that. Okay, now that I've done that, what I want to do next is a bit of dodge and burn. So that's where you can bring areas to focus by adding soft light to it as such, and then darkening areas that you don't want that focus on. So that's where we go up to layer, go new, layer, I name it D&B, so dodge and burn, mode to overlay, and then fill with overlay neutral color 50% gray, and click OK on that. Now this is where we need to go across to our brush, and we want to set that opacity down at 5 to 10, otherwise any adjustments that we make are going to be too big. So what I want to achieve is I want the eye to follow along the bridge, the jetty, all the way to the horizon, and then that cloud draw the focus from there. So I want to add highlights onto the bridge. So I've got white selected, I've got the mask selected, or the layer selected, sorry, and now I'm just going to paint in along the bridge, and you'll see it is actually lightening as we go along. Just reduce that brush size. And just bring in that area, making it a bit brighter by adding that white. So by bringing that information out, it makes it brighter and it draws the eye to it, and the eye should follow along up towards the horizon. I'll do one more brush over just to bring out the detail in that wood grain as well. Now if I turn that off, you can see the difference where it was dark, now it's lighter, and it just brings out that detail, and the eye is drawn to it to follow through to the horizon and then up to the cloud. Now what I want to do is I just want to darken that water a little bit, so I'm going to drop that down to 5%. I'm going to hit X. Oops. Try that again. I'm going to hit X, so we go black, and we're now going to darken this area a touch on the outside, so that way probably a little darker there because that's quite bright. We don't want to take that attention away from the jetty. And it uses those shadows and highlights basically to bring the attention to the spots of the image that you want. So now if I turn that off, you can see the difference that makes. That right hand side is what's quite